Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of Library Talk and everything else. I'm your host, DJ JC. Today's Thursday, November 6th, 2025, and I'm so excited because I have a guest who's also a colleague and friend, Mr. John Ferris, and he's a friend to the studio as well because he's been here before. Good morning, John.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. Today, we're going to talk about relaxation. And we're going to discuss relaxing activities, maybe a little bit of nostalgia from some of the things that we used to do back in the past where maybe we had less responsibilities and less things that we had to worry about. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to have a great conversation. I always do when John is in the studio. So I'm so glad that he was here, and I'm so glad that he is part of today's episode. If you're just joining us for the first time, this is a research-based show where we talk about research. We look at a research question. We examine the research question. We break it down. If we answer it, great. If we don't, we can continue for another day. And it's also something to think about. So I'm really excited about this conversation. And thank you, first-time listeners, for joining us. And if you are a long-time listener, thank you so much for supporting the show. If you're interested in this show and all the other shows that are so wonderfully produced by UTRGV Vaquero Radio, please go to the UTRGV YouTube Vaquero Radio channel. You can listen to past episodes of this show as well as some of the other ones that are produced here at UTRGV. I do want to thank Ariana and her staff for helping us out every Thursday, setting us up. And thank you, the listener, for allowing us to be part of your Thursday morning. So, we are so excited, we're happy, and we're having a great day, and we're feeling good on this first Thursday of November. Thank you so very much. Again, you're listening to Library Talk and everything else only on Vaquero Radio, the Valley's student station. Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much again for returning and staying tuned to Library Talk and everything else. I'm your host, DJ JC. I want to introduce Mr. John Ferris. Again, he is a friend of the show because he's been here a couple of times. And John, you have been here and we've discussed the Texas Lottery. We've discussed the music. We've discussed the Twilight Zone.
Of course, yeah.
And so I asked you to be in the studio today because we're going to talk about recreational and relaxing activities. But before we do that, please reintroduce yourself, John, and tell us your role, your important role within the university community.
Oh, but of course, thank you. Well, I'm a research instruction librarian here at the UTRGV Brownfield Campus Library, and I also work in attached service there at the Edinburgh Campus Library, provide library instruction for students and faculty, and of course, putting the B3 LibGuide together. We're doing all the advising work, and we assist students, faculty, finding books, articles, and so on, all the kind of library content that they need, and I'm just very happy to be here, very happy to be a part of the team.
Thank you so much. And you mentioned it. If you do need assistance from the library, please come by and see us. We're already in November, and by the time we know it, we're in Thanksgiving, and by the time we know it, we're in December, and the semester is over, and we begin the cycle again in 2026. But if you need anything right now from the library, please don't hesitate to come by, visit us on the Edinburgh campus, the Brunswick campus, or if you're in the Harlingen area, you can get some library services there as well. So please come by because we know how fast the semester goes. We know how fast research, assignments, and all of that begins to take shape and begins to take place. So please come by and see us as soon as you know that some of these things are beginning to become due. Some of your assignments are up before we leave for the Thanksgiving break or after we come back. So please don't hesitate to come by and see us. So today's research question, John, is going to be, what are the psychological and physiological benefits of engaging in regular relaxation activities? And this conversation that you and I had a couple of months back when we went to lunch one time, we were talking about, relaxation. We're talking about what is it that you do to relax. And you mentioned to me, John, that you are an exceptional pool player. Is that correct?
Yes. I'm not going to put myself in the league, like Frank City Fells, everybody really high up there like that, but I can hold my own pretty well with and I enjoy the game very much.
And where do you play in McAllen?
Usually at Fast Eddie's. That's
Fast
the place
Eddie's. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Have you ever done a tournament? Have you ever been part of maybe a group of pool players, or you just kind of just go and just?
It's really just for recreation, for fun. I don't really do it competitively or otherwise. I just like do it just for fun.
My advice for anybody that's interested in purchasing a pool table is to buy a new pool table.
Of course.
I bought a used pool table, and it was warped in the middle, so I never really got a fair shot. And I'm not as good a player as you are. but I enjoy the game, and there's so much for me to learn about it. But I really wanted to have a pool table because I was
Yeah.
converting my garage into, I
Yeah, you
guess,
mentioned that.
I don't know if this is the proper term, but a man cave.
Oh, the man
And
cave,
and
yes.
and I had two arcade cabinets. I
Okay.
had a
Yeah.
pool table. I had a dartboard, and I was going places, John. But
Oh.
then that pool table, it was warped, and I could never repair it. So I ended up giving it away, I believe, or
Mm.
selling it. But you go back to that
Yeah.
about creating this space for myself that
Mm-hmm.
had my arcade cabinets, that had my pool table. That is what this conversation is about being able to relax,
Yes.
being able
Mm.
to find
Of
recreational
course. Yeah,
activities,
yeah. Huh.
because we live in this fast-paced world,
Very
right, John?
stressful, very fast-paced world. We all need time to rest, and God will. I was going to share a quick little pool story. But one thing, I mean, I really, I have, if I ever win that lottery, God willing, if I ever, I know that's a faraway dream, but if I did, one of the first things I definitely would for my man cave, I would definitely find a pool table, and not just any pool table. I'd want the best money could buy, and one of the best that I understand the best is the Brunswick table.
Oh,
Man,
okay.
now those things go anywhere from, again, I'm not an expert, but like $15,000, $20,000 per table. But man, those things are awesome. Awesome. You can feel the wood, the mahogany, everything, and you just enjoy the putting the 8 ball in the corner pocket. How you do, and all the fancy tricks I wish I could do at the ball table, but that's what I would do, and I would love to have a man cave of my own. Just like you, I think you mentioned like you'd fantasize of a man cave. What would I do? I put the man
Yes,
cave and
I
all that.
have
Yeah.
thought, and you and I actually
Yes.
have spoken about that too.
Yes. Hmm.
Sometimes when we go to lunch,
Yes, of
we
course.
we kind of talk about those fantasies of having the
Yep.
lottery and having the
Y-
resources and the funds to be able to do
To
that.
be able to be like a video game, I think you mentioned the checks game. That's a really awesome game of arcade, games, Pac-Man or foosball or anything like that.
Yes, and also I could not have a man cave without a pinball machine.
Pinball, of course. Yeah, I
And
mean,
and I know which one I'd want. I
mm,
want the Twilight Zone pinball
you're
machine.
you're a fan of that Twilight
I am
Zone,
a
yeah.
fan of Twilight Zone, and you've actually been on the show to talk
Yes,
about
of course I
and
did.
discuss
Yeah.
the Twilight Zone last year, which was a
Yes,
wonderful
yeah.
conversation. And again, going back to what I said earlier before the break, if you are interested in any of the shows that we've talked about or that we're talking about, and some of the episodes that we've had John in
Hmm.
and others, please go back to the YouTube channel for the Vaquero Radio. But we can imagine that. And you mentioned something about a
Yeah.
pool table,
Yeah.
and I've shared this with you as well because for those of you that have listened to previous episodes about sports and I've talked about football, my favorite football team is the New Orleans Saints.
Hmm.
And I actually showed you, I believe, the
Yes.
pool table that I'd won, which
Oh
is a New
yeah,
Orleans
you
Saints
did.
themed
Oh, what an
pool
elaborate
table.
table, boy.
But
That
again,
was a
very
nice one.
expensive.
Very expensive. Very see, and same thing with the pinball machine. I would love,
Yes.
except Twilight Zone. Me, I would go the Raiders Lost Ark.
Oh,
That is all.
I've actually played that one as well. Yes, it's a
It is
wonderful
really
pool.
not, and I've really seen it on eBay. I've seen it on Amazon. Man, it's like it's got about 15, 18,000. But to see that arc light up,
Yes.
see all those little items light up with the airplane, all the cool stuff they put in it. Wow, I would love to have one of those.
So we were talking about relaxation and going back to the research question about what are the psychological and physiological benefits of engaging in regular
Mhm.
relaxation activities. If we start breaking it down, the ability to relax, the ability, excuse me, to do these relaxation type activities, it reduces stress and anxiety within
Mhm.
us, right? We begin to calm down. These the levels of cortisone go up, and being able to
That's right. Yeah.
manage our stress, and
Yes.
it
Yes.
reduces those
Yeah.
symptoms of anxiety. And meditation, the emotional regulation within our systems, within ourselves. And it's a lot easier said than
Mhm.
done, John,
Yes.
right? I
Of
mean,
course. Yeah.
being
Mhm.
able to go home on an evening where you had a stressful day, where you had a difficult day, where you
Mhm.
had things that happened that were a little out of your control. Maybe your
Yeah.
vehicle messed
Uh-huh.
up, or maybe something happened at work
Mhm.
that you just had a difficult time. It is hard sometimes to just disconnect. I don't know if
Yeah.
you ever have that problem, John.
I count. There's two like way sides of it that I see in my mind. One first is your home ought to be your castle place to chill out, relax, and enjoy. But sometimes we can get too caught up in it. It's easy to drive. Friends of mine who also call it they like to relax at home, but when they relax at home, man, they just let go because well, I guess it's so stressful. Like you say, it's so stressful during the day. They want to completely disconnect. They want to
Yes.
go out and just listen to their music, go to the folks Fast Eddie's, go look at the cars, go with their friends camp, the Mustang guys at the Mustang Club, McAllen guys at camp, and man, you could just get caught up in the Mustang Club and all that for hours on end. But then you want to have to come back. That's the problem.
There
Then you
is
have
that.
to
There is
reconnect.
that reality.
And
Right?
going through the two realities, that's hard for me, and I know it's hard for other people out there who go like, man, I go back to work, oh man, I'm having so much fun with my family and my friends, and then, oh man, I gotta go back to that grind again.
I know,
Especially when
right?
you have a stressful day. But when it's fun though, sometimes, in my mind, you can dovetail to a positive thing, and you can say like, oh yeah, I can, don't have to worry about the stress. I can come back, I can go work and not let this stuff overwhelm me.
Yes,
Yeah.
we have great listeners, John. I know people that are listening right now that are retired.
Yeah.
I know people that are listening that are students.
Yeah.
Some of our coworkers and our
Yes, they are.
colleagues
Uh-huh.
within the university and within the library,
Mhm.
and so we have quite a range. And I think we all want to reach that point of retirement where we get to relax every day.
Yeah, my
you know.
dad did, sure. He did.
But even then, I believe that you have to stay active. You have to do things that are going to push you to be, out there and moving around, whether you're taking a dance class, whether you're, doing something that
Mm-hmm.
prevents you from just sitting around. And I know we're talking about relaxation, and maybe for some people, like you said, relaxation is just laying around, and that's fine. But there also has to be that movement, that exercise, that sense of belonging to something, whether you're a book club or
Oh,
whether you're part of an organization, maybe you volunteer. I think some of those things bring so much joy to you, but they also help you relax. And so a relaxed person is somebody that has a mood that's just really good.
yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
all of these things, such as exercise, such as other activities like
Mm-hmm.
you play pool, that I'm sure when you're playing that improves your mood.
Yeah.
Activities
Uh-huh.
like yoga, and we talked about this earlier, meditation, those raise those dopamine levels and they contribute to that positive mood.
Yes, they do.
I mean, I know pool is competitive, and when you go play with somebody, maybe you're just really angry because you didn't make that shot in the corner pocket.
Uh,
But at the end, it's fun, right?
yeah, it's fun. So when you're playing with pool and things like that, I tried just to kind of again try to relax. Now I understand from my uncle, he would usually tell you like the intellectual side or the intelligence side of it is that it teaches geometry. You can learn about angles and things like that, and what angles work to put the ball in the hole into the pocket, and some that don't, and fancy trick shots that he used to do when he was a kid that he can't do anymore. But I think there's like a middle ground where you can say like I enjoy this, and at the end of it you're saying like hey this is fun. Like I remember playing pool with my brother at at Port Isabel. We had a place called Outdoor Resorts. We like to play
Okay.
and have fun, and I remember one in particular. We were playing. It was the afternoon, and we were playing a pool game, and we were just being ourselves. Like, and we just
Yes.
you just relaxed. I wasn't thinking about anything. My mind was not occupied with any of my troubles or difficulties or growing up because I was like about 15, 16 years old or those puberty years, I guess, that we'd all like to forget, or not forget. I don't know, whichever you prefer. But I was just so Jane was so engrossed in that game that we were just playing. It was just solids and stripes, like solid, put the ball, solid ball. I think I had stripes, and James had the solids ball, and we were just having fun putting the balls in the hole and relaxed, and it felt so great, not worrying about school or worrying about.
It was the summer, you said,
It
right?
was about summer, about 1983, 84, and I remembered fondly because like, yeah, I felt so calm and so relaxed and so in the game that I wasn't concerned about. And this one means where these dopamine levels improve and it
Yes,
gets better.
exactly.
And
We're
so
talking about
that's
that.
what I like. And that's why I found it so engrossing and so enjoyable, especially vignettes like that where you really are able to get away from it all, but still maintain. You had your responsibilities, but you kind of it was all balanced.
Yeah, and so I'm going to share a story as well. I have a brother who is about 5 years younger than I am. And as I was finishing college, he was starting college, and we both live with my parents. It's my brother and I and my parents. And we had part-time jobs. We had, family responsibilities, work responsibilities. We were coming to school. But, and you mentioned this,
Mm.
that it takes you back. So I'm going to get a little nostalgic here.
Yeah.
I remember every night after my parents went to bed, every night my brother and I would just convene in our garage. We had converted into a kind of a living space. We had a big screen TV and we had our PlayStation connected there. And every single evening, we would play video games every night, my brother and I. We would play Madden. We would play FIFA soccer, and if it was baseball season, we'd play a video game on baseball, and every single night. And again, you said that earlier, no responsibilities.
Right,
I
right.
mean, well, you did have responsibilities, and you did too at
Yeah, of course,
15,
yes. Mhm.
but you didn't have a mortgage. You didn't.
Exactly. I didn't have the adult
The
responsibilities
adult responsibilities.
that are overwhelming at
I
times. A
think
lot
that's
of us.
I think
Yeah.
that's what it is. The adult
Little-
responsibility. I
little-
didn't have a mortgage. I didn't have a car payment. I
They'd
didn't
rather
worry about
overwhelm
anything.
us in the real world, of course.
Exactly. So my concern was my school. Obviously, that
Yeah,
was
school was
top
of course.
priority.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But also, my this part time job that I worked. But
Okay,
that
yeah.
was it.
Yeah.
So every night, every evening, my brother and I, we would end the day with
Mhm.
playing video games. And I look back at that, and it was such a awesome time in our lives. I mean, obviously, things change as you
Yes,
grow
they-
over,
yeah,
like as you
naturally.
grow older.
Naturally, they do.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Other responsibilities, life happens, right?
Maybe marriage.
But I go back to that every once in a while, and I ask my brother every once in a while. I ask him, "Hey, do you remember when we used to play video games every night?" He's like, "Yes." He's like, "Yes, I wish I could go back to those days." And it's just again, just so nostalgic and so easy to just kind of get lost in that. But that is also how you relax, how you tend to take things easy in your life. And, all of these things, we're looking at the psychological effects of activities such as this. And these things, they enhance your focus on things, this cognitive function, it improves because you are relaxed, because you are in a state of relaxation.
Hmm.
I have a hard time relaxing and kind of easing into things. I know for myself when I travel and I may be in the moment at the time, but then
Mhm.
at the end of that day, I start thinking, okay, what's going to happen when I get back to Bronzeville? And you mentioned that earlier too
Uh-huh.
about getting back to reality, right?
Yeah, there's there's the fine balance between what you do on the weekends and what you do at a work day. Now, when Friday comes around, everybody's excited and happy.
Yes, right?
Because they're ready to disconnect. They've worked
To
hard all
disconnect.
week, and of course, not to mention that Bill Cosby line. I remember remember that Bill Cosby himself, that quickly when he said like, "Hey, Friday, what comes? Yay!" And everybody comes in and goes, "Ugh, boy, am I glad to be back here. I'm no good on my own. I went 2 whole days and I just went crazy."
I think that we get so excited on Friday afternoons
Yeah,
because
we
that because we know we're gonna have a bit of a break.
Yeah.
But then Sunday night comes around and we're like, oh
Yeah.
my gosh, back to the grind.
Back to the grind. Yeah, that's
to-
what when I
back
was
to it.
little. It was like teachers, like we would Sunday night. I remember we would watch KGBT in the news, and we'd see Paul Harvey at the end. And I knew seeing the globe, and I said, "Uh oh,
That's
Friday.
it.
We're getting back to
it's
Monday.
getting back to
Darn it,
Monday,
man, and gotta
right?
go back to school."
And relaxation also going back to the psychological, and this can
Mhm.
fall into the physiological as well, but it helps you in reducing stress, and that stress allows you to sleep better. It
Yes,
allows
it
you the opportunity to
does.
get
Mhm.
quality
Mhm.
sleep, and when you are involved in different activities or you learn how to relax, I guess, and you find those things that help you reduce that stress, that also lowers the risk of depression. Being able to spontaneously decide that you're going to go and enjoy the day, and that's therapy for you.
Yeah.
That helps
Mhm.
you.
Absolutely.
And so there are so many psychological aspects to why and so many psychological things that come of us being able to
Mhm.
relax and being able to enjoy
Of course.
the moment and enjoy life and
Mhm.
so forth. And I want to mention something, John, or touch on something rather that you mentioned earlier,
Mhm. Okay.
how you're playing pool at 15 at the island, no stresses, no worries, no cell phones, right?
There weren't, all the
1983.
the technology was. When I'd say and most of these in general, they say, "Oh, it's backwards stuff." Well, it was a comfort, really, not to have those cell phones to have,
It
bother
was,
you.
right, John?
It was easier, and you could really. I mean, if you really wanted to relax and put space between you and the work week. It was so good because there wasn't that stress of the phone
Exactly.
to go back to all the time. And you could go, and if you want to talk to someone on the phone, I mean, there were phones available. I mean, now,
Yes,
of
the
course, there and all the
landlines
landlines that were available at the time. But it wasn't like the cell phone was right there,
next to
lit up
you.
next to you, and you had to respond to it 24/7 like we have to do now. It's work related, play related, the children related, a play date related, and and then you almost get involved in something like that, or a luncheon date, or something, and it goes on and on. And that can be a stress. And the cell phone, unfortunately, I think I heard this from experts too. It's something like we can't get away from. Just
Yes.
like just because it starts to interfere in the relaxation of it. I mean, although some people are better at than others, some can handle it, the stress of the phone. Oh, my cell phone's on, I can do it. But other people like myself, it took me a while to get used to cell phone and the message going, oh, ding, another message, ding, another message, ding. And the worst ones, of course, when it starts dinging a lot. You're just like, oh man, ding, 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 jeez.
And we're looking at activities that help us relax and not to knock on phones
No, no,
because people
no, not really.
sometimes use their phones to relax,
Sure,
whether they're
that's
watching
on
TikTok videos or whether they're on social media or
videos.
whatever they may be using.
That's
That's
true.
their way of relaxing. So we don't want to
Of course,
totally
no, not
disregard
strictly,
phones.
no, sir.
But what I wanted to get at is that comment that John made that, we got to enjoy life, enjoy the moment
Yeah, we
without
enjoyed.
worries about anything.
That's right.
And so we're looking at the psychological effects of relaxation and activities, but let's look at
Sure.
the physiological benefits of that. You
Okay.
exercise, you lower your blood pressure, the deep
Yeah.
breathing activities help you with your nervous system, improved heart health. That is
Yes.
such a
Hmm.
interesting thing where this heart, this muscle that you have that gives you life, you need to take care of
Yeah,
it.
of
And
course.
if being able to reduce stress by doing activities that relax you, more power to you.
Hmm.
And so many people do different activities. Pickleball right now is a very popular
Hmm.
thing. People playing pickleball. Um, Books, people read, people enjoy board games. I'm going to talk about a little bit about board games in a bit because I am an avid board game player. People play
Yes.
video games, whatever it is. You play pool, whatever you do that helps you relax, that helps you maintain some sort of relaxed state of mind is awesome. And for all of us, and for any of us that we do these different things, if it helps you relax, more power to you
There you
because
go.
it also, when you're relaxed, you're decreasing your muscle tension. If we are under the
Hmm.
strain and stress of everything that's going on, we tend to s- tense up, we stress out, our
That's true.
body starts feeling it, right?
That's true. Very true.
And so, relaxation, when we think about it and being able
Hmm.
to relax, maybe through breathing, maybe through exercises, it's going to boost our immune function and our system. And this chronic stress, it suppresses our immune system and our immune response. So, it's important that we do find activities, we do find exercises, we do find things that are going to boost that immune function as we get older. Our immunity, we need to take care of that. And it's also, this opportunity for us just to disconnect.
Hmm.
Disconnect. We play board games at home and you're disconnecting. You
Hmm.
play pool, John, yourself, you're disconnecting from
Stress. Hmm.
everything,
Right. Right.
And so I'm so excited about this conversation and so excited to have John
Oh, thank you.
Ferris in the studio with
Oh
me
my gosh.
today.
Thank you so
When
much.
we come back, I'm going to read an article to you. And I know John has some
Yeah,
literature
brother.
that
Yes,
he
I do.
did some research on. And
Sure.
again, this is what this research based show is all
Of
about.
course.
So I'm going to talk about board games and I'm going to talk about another activity that I really enjoy doing when it comes to physical exercise, which is bike riding. So thank you so much, John. Thank you so much, you, the listener. We're going to go to a music break. We'll come right back. You're listening to Library Talk and everything else only on Vaquero Radio, the Valley's student station. Good morning, everybody. Again, thank you so much for returning to
Mhm.
Library Talk and everything else. I have Mr. John Ferris in the studio today. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much
And
again,
thank
John, for
you.
being here.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it so much.
One of the only things that I always concern myself with is how fast the time goes by when I have such a wonderful guest in the studio.
Oh,
But
thank you
thank
so
you so
much.
much, John. I
Oh, man, I
appreciate you being here.
appreciate it. Thank you so much.
We were talking about board games and I talked
Mhm.
about exercise and biking and so forth. And I did some research because I am a big fan of board games. I love board games. I
Hmm.
actually have an episode on board games, but I have always enjoyed the social aspect of gaming and board games and the disconnecting of board games. So I want to read an article from the University Library, plug. It was published in a periodical called Technology Times on February 8th, 2022. And the title of the article is What are the Advantages of Board Games Regarding Human Well Being? So let me read this quote to you. Every board is unique and different, but most board games are known to improve your memory, logic, and creativity in a fun and enjoyable way. The best board games require skill, creativity, and logic in detail, and for you to be able to beat others. You will have to learn the rules of the game and then understand every aspect of the game in order to excel. While playing board games, you may not notice your memory or creativity being improved, but it will be happening spontaneously without you even knowing about it. By playing different board games, your brain is used frequently, which makes your brain and brain function much stronger. Again, when we're playing a board game, we aren't thinking that that's what's happening, but it is helping you relax. It's helping you learn. It's helping you be creative. And one of the reasons that I love board games is that you can crack one open at any time and gather with some friends and family and just have a great time. And I was a collector of board games. I had about 350 board games in my collection at one point, but I ended up selling some, giving them away. But now I have like core collection of board games that I love. And again, you can play those at any time, and it relaxes me. It helps me relax. So I want to go to you, John, now because I know you did some research as well using
Yes,
the
I did.
UTRGV library, and I want you to
Mhm.
read your quote and what that has to deal with when it comes to relaxation.
Well, thank you, Joel. The one that I'd focus on was just in general, and I do enjoy this too, to a certain extent, outdoor recreation and family cohesiveness. The actual title of the article, again, plug from our UTRGV library database, which is a really wonderful resource, is Outdoor Recreation and Family Cohesiveness, a research approach. And the two authors are Patrick C. West and Elsie Merriam Jr. And the essence of it is that they had generated the study. Of course, this is a while back. We understand 2009, but it's still relevant.
It is
Still
relevant,
relevant, of
yes.
course. And it's a study they conducted at St. Croix State Park, Pine County, Minnesota. And it was designed to test the hypothesis that they conveniently named that mutual outdoor recreation helps sustain and increase family cohesiveness and by inducing social interaction in the family group. And I think that's important for family. The more that you're outside, and you don't want to be inside, of course. I know board games, video games are great and they're cool, but you're all in the inside.
Exactly.
Whereas there's a beautiful outside too that you can
Yes.
walk and talk, and you can
Go to a park.
park, or you know, go hiking, walking. And the most important quote that I enjoy this that um, because one of the non-social values that they were hindered to would be stronger family cohesiveness. They were trying to prove that that exists, and it's a complex web involving many factors, many of which are more vital than participation in outdoor recreation. But outdoor recreation is being the most important, so that they believe that in outdoor recreation provided the most cohesiveness was measured by ascertaining the amount of intimate communication of secrets and mood among family members. And the study results provided moderate support, but I think greater support, more than that probably, that the problem is that outdoor recreation helps maintain and increase family cohesiveness as a whole.
Nice. That's interesting.
Mhm.
And again, these two articles were from the UTRGV University Library's resources. And I am going to quote another article that talks about exercise because I enjoy bike riding. And we'll talk about the benefits of bike riding because and exercise in general because exercising helps you both psychologically, physiologically, and there are so many benefits to exercise. But I want to go back to that, John, because there are so many activities that people do that help them relax. I used to be a teacher before I became a librarian, and there was a teacher at my school. He was an art teacher, and he loved going to the movies, John.
Wow.
He loved going to the movies.
I'll bet
He
he
would
did.
go to the movies, John. He wasn't married, didn't have any children. He had a lot of time to himself. He would go to the movies, John, every Tuesday because Tuesday's a Tuesday night special.
Mm-hmm.
He'd go every Tuesday to the movies, Tuesday night,
Mm-hmm.
Friday night,
Friday,
and then Sunday night.
Tuesday, Friday,
And
Sunday.
Sunday,
Wow, three times.
we
Wow.
called him, and I don't know if many people are going to understand this reference, but we called him Front Row Joe.
Oh my gosh! Wow, I do get that reference.
Okay, for those of you that may not
I
get
know
that
the
reference, that
okay.
is a mascot from back in the day
Cinemark, I
called
believe.
Cinemark called Front Row Joe, and so everybody called this teacher Front Row Joe because he was always at the movies. He loved going to the movies. Tuesday, Friday night after work, and then Sunday before coming to work on Monday.
Wow, he really is a
He
diehard.
knew everything that was playing. He watched everything that even the artsy films that nobody else would watch at the time.
Foreign and all that stuff.
The foreign films. He used to love to go to
my gosh,
to the
wow,
movies.
Aficionado of film.
He was an aficionado of film.
Wow.
Every Tuesday in the evenings, Friday after work, and Sundays before work, he
Oh,
would
wow.
always
So
go to the movies,
really
and that
love
was
them.
his way of
That was his
relaxing.
way of
That was his way of
relaxing,
disconnecting.
disconnecting.
And I know I've spoken about movies before in a previous episode, how movies and any of these things that we're talking about, if they're helping you relax, it is that time for you to disconnect and suspend your disbelief in a movie, suspend your disbelief in you're playing a board game, or like in John's case that he goes to play pool, just get out there and go, and rack them up, as they say, right?
Rack them up there, rack them, and I'm always enjoying. And it's such a relaxing thing to do, and the fun of it, the enjoyment of it, that was real. I also do love bike riding. I don't do it as often as I would like to do. Of course, the doctor does. Hey, get out there and exercise.
Yes.
It's hard and stuff. But and I don't bike ride as I could. But when I did, I used to bike ride around College Station with my brother, and we'd just ride around and just kind of look at the neighborhoods and stuff.
And that's what it is. That's why I enjoy bike riding, because I just put on a podcast
Mm-hmm.
and just take off, just ride. And I love it. I love being out there on the road, as they say, and just disconnecting from everything. And I mentioned podcasts, and we were talking off the air this morning, John, before we got to the studio, as we were setting up the studio here. And I mentioned to you that I wish I could do this every day, because I really enjoy being a part of Vaquero Radio, and I enjoy being behind a microphone. And I think I mentioned to you that I've purchased some equipment for a podcast, but I haven't found my niche just yet to what I want my podcast to be about. But I so much enjoy this. And for me as well, it's a disconnect from the library. It's something different in the week for me, in the work week on Thursdays here in the studio, especially when I have wonderful guests like you, John, coming in.
Oh, thanks.
And so I really like this, and this is also my way of relaxing a little bit, getting ready for the show, preparing for the show. I really enjoy it. And again, whatever relaxes you. And you said something really interesting, John, earlier. Board games are indoors, video games are indoors, and that when you can balance that, though, when you can play a board game in the evening after coming back from taking a walk or taking a hike or taking just some physical activity, that is such a wonderful opportunity. So there are so many things for some of you. And as you're listening to the show, what is it that you do that helps you relax? What is it that you do that helps you calm down and be able to just reduce some of that stress? And for some of us, it's reading. For some of us, it's playing music. For some of us, it's listening to music. And we all have our own way of relaxing. Some of us who have the means and the resources have swimming pools at home that get to enjoy a pool at home.
Pools, it's fun. They're wonderful to take part in. Sometimes they're not wonderful to clean and take maintenance of. But other than that, when you enjoy the pool and you're swimming and you enjoy it and you're the day into the sun and everything, and you're enjoying the day, enjoying the swimming, you're disconnecting, you're relaxing, and that's good.
I am going to mention this. We are about 45 minutes from Brownsville, at least. I know from McAllen and maybe the Edinburgh area is a little bit further, but we're about 40 minutes from the island here in Brownsville. And I know a lot of people go to the island to go relax.
Of course they do.
I do not like that. I do not like the beach. I do not like the beach, nor do I like the island. I don't like that. But I know a lot of people that do. They love taking their family to the island on the weekend.
Yes,
they love packing ice chests and sandwiches.
Yes, that's what my family.
And going out there. And you mentioned this earlier as well,
Mhm.
that that was what you did in that summer, right? You spent at the island in
Yes, we in
1983.
1983. Yeah, we were out there and at the Port Isabel, and again we were playing pool. Remember the second pool? We also did shuffleboard, believe it or not. And James and I did. Of course, that's it's a game for. I think it's a game for everybody. It doesn't matter age, and just have fun, enjoy. And we did. And we had a swimming pool where we would swim, and sometimes even when he didn't have that lot 55 there at the outdoors, which no longer exists, he would take an ice chest filled with sandwiches, and we would go to the island, drive over there, go to the I don't even remember the Bahia Mar Hotel.
Yes.
That's usually our entry. That if I remember correctly, that we go to, then we pack the sandwiches in a ice chest. We get over there in our little Toyota van, get over there, get the Bahia Mar, and my mom would take us over there, and we would put a little towel and a little umbrella, and we would just kind of be there on the beach.
That's
Enjoy
not
it.
my thing, John.
And I know, and I realize that's not everybody's thing. I appreciate that. Some people they just like to be there.
Yes.
There's in fact I remember there was like some kind of like a dining area, dining area al fresco,
Yes.
and you could go over there and you could have lunches and stuff. And those people didn't want to be on the beach, didn't want to be in the sand,
Yes.
but they liked eating there with their
Yes.
friends and
That's
being there with their
true.
friends. That they were kind of didn't want to get in the beach like you apparently you
Yes,
know,
I'm
glad
that's
they
not my
on the side.
thing.
They have a little meal, having a little deal al fresco, and they enjoyed the meal, enjoyed their sandwich or the little drinks or beer, what have you, and they were just having fun, and that's okay too.
I grew up with a very wonderful family, from cousins to aunts and uncles and my parents and my brother. And when I was
Mhm.
younger, when I was younger, everybody would pack up and go to the beach, to the island, and I would stay behind with my dad. He doesn't like the
You
beach
like these
either,
are
but
okay.
my dad and I would stay together because it was not my thing, and to this day, it really isn't my thing. But I would go because of my daughters, and
Oh,
and
of course, yeah,
but
yeah.
yeah, as I grew older, it's not my thing. I
So,
really don't, and I don't know what it is. The whole packing of things, the whole coming back and
that could be a part
unloading
of
and
it.
whatever it may be. That's not my thing.
Hmm.
It isn't. But some people do enjoy it. Some people like to travel. Some people like
Mhm.
to just get away from all their worries by driving. Some people just like to get
Yes,
up and
that's
drive and go
me. I like
somewhere.
to do that occasionally, and I know people like to do that. Some people like the weekend getaways become very popular
Yes.
around too. They apparently have enough more than I do, and they can go out there to fly to I don't know Las Vegas, go out there to
Yes.
California, San Francisco,
Yes.
maybe in the East Coast or something, or maybe out there to Cape Cod. And they just enjoy the weather. They enjoy the sailboats and everything. And again, the weekend getaways, of course, very popular. The airplane people love it.
Yes.
Tourist people love it because it's like, oh, yeah, a little money for me. But it's fun. It's fun to disconnect, and that's okay too. That's fun.
And so we're going back to the physiological and psychological aspects of exercise and the benefits of it. We talked about this earlier, about this releasing of endorphins, and it
Hmm.
stimulates the brain and it produces
Certainly,
endorphins. And,
yes.
a lot of times exercise is a natural painkiller.
Of
Elevates your mood, and it reduces,
relaxes you, yeah.
yeah, it improves your mood, and it reduces the stress
Lowers the
and
stress.
acts. When you're working out, it acts as a mental distraction. I know, again, we talked about this, that you eventually, when you're finished with your workout or when you're finished with the weekend, you have to face the reality that you're going to go back to
Work, of
back
course,
to
yeah.
work.
And
But
that's we all
but in
do
the
that.
moment when you are exercising, for some people, it's that euphoric state. People that have, workouts that are extensive because they enjoy the
Hmm.
ability to be able to continue working out, and it's going to boost your self-esteem also. You start exercising, you start looking better, you start
Hmm.
losing weight, you start taking better
Hmm.
care of yourself, and it
Yeah,
enhances
absolutely.
your mental resilience as well.
Yes.
It's overcoming these physical challenges that you
Mm.
didn't know you could lift this much weight, you didn't know you can run 3 miles. They
Hmm.
call it the runner's high, because people get into this euphoric state where they want to and need to exercise, and that's awesome. So there's so many benefits to exercise, again, both psychologically, both physically. And I wanted to read something to you. I know this is going to be a little lengthy, and we are, again, running out of time, and it just seems to go by so fast.
Hmm.
But I want to read an article to you. Does exercise improve mood? And this is from a periodical entitled Diabetes Forecast, excuse me, volume 59, issue number 6, from June 2006. And I know it's a little dated, but we found this through the UTRGV University Library. And I want to read this. It is a little lengthy, but just kind of bear with me here, because it says Getting out for a walk or riding a stationary bike is good for your body, but it's also good for your noggin. Exercise has long been known to be able to elevate mood and decrease feelings of anxiety and stress, says Dr. Sherry Kohlberg Oaks, a professor of exercise science in Norfolk, Virginia. She says that exercise is a double bonus for people with diabetes because it could help mood and improve blood glucose levels. During aerobic exercise like swimming or dancing, your body releases endorphins. These substances boost feelings of well being and improve mood. Endorphins are thought to be a trigger for a runner's high, and I talked about that earlier, the euphoric state that some people feel after an intense jog. Not to worry, you don't need to run a marathon to keep mental perks of exercise. It's well known that even brief stints of exercise, such as brisk walking for an hour, improves mood. Always talk to your doctor about what kind of exercises make the most sense to you. Such activities may help ease depression also. A recent study showed that a walk on a treadmill for 30 minutes alleviated symptoms of depression in people who were clinically depressed. After exercises, they feel less grouchy and less sluggish and more positive and lively to boot. So it's a wonderful article from, again, Diabetes Forecast, Volume 59, Issue number 6, from June 2006. So there are so many different benefits. There's so many different things that we get from not only exercise, but also those things that help us relax and help us through the day to relax. Because we have our lunch hours, John, right?
Of course.
And you and I, sometimes we go to lunch and we look at the time. We're like, John, we got to get back to lunch. We had a wonderful
we gotta get
conversation.
excited. You get so caught up in it.
And I know you and I have gone out of town as well
Yes,
on conferences,
yes, sir.
and we'll go eat at a restaurant. And we've been at restaurants for 2-3 hours just talking, and it's always such a wonderful conversation, kind of like the one that's happening right now. We're gonna go to a music break. We'll come back to finish our final thoughts. You're listening to Library Talk and everything else only on Vaquero Radio, the Valley's student station. Good morning, everybody. Again, we're getting ready to finish our show with Mr. John Ferris in the studio today. Thank you so much, John, again for being here.
It's my pleasure.
When it comes to research, it's so fascinating to me what you can find out there and what is research has been done on. And that's one of the great aspects of being a librarian for us, is being able to discover some of these different topics and some of these different ways that we assist our students, right, with such wonderful and incredible topics that they come in with. And one of the topics that for the purposes of this show and this episode, I just wanted to kind of search something. And I went into the internet, I went online, and I typed in what are some activities that people relax, and board games, exercise, reading, and book clubs and things like that. But I was curious about something in regards to football and in regards to sports. And what I found was that people do not consider sports watching sports anyway, a relaxing activity, because there's a lot of stress sometimes related to that if your team is not doing very well.
That's true.
And so,
Very true.
watching sports wasn't really a thing on the list of activities to
Right.
relax.
Okay,
But
yeah.
do you, I mentioned earlier, John, a teacher that I worked with that loved movies, but have you ever known anybody that's relaxation activities just a little different?
Yeah, well, there were a lot of teachers, instructors I've known over the years that have had very different types of relaxation.
Yes.
Although some were more conventional, like I remember having courses, very complex courses with Dr. May when I was trying to get my MBA, which I did finish in 2001. But he enjoyed golf. He was a big time golfer, and he loved any opportunity to take golf. He would find it. And in fact, I recall one video in particular where, it's just a cool, quickie little story. We were, and I typically went to class on the second floor of the minor school of business, second floor building. And we go in there one morning with my classmates, and just typically respecting the typical day, just take notes and get more information about the test and all that. And he just came in, waltzed in there. It was a beautiful, gorgeous day to play golf. It was sunny, very sunny, in fact. And he just made a very generous announcement. Going, It's too nice a day outside, guys. You got a free day off. I'm going to go play golf. He said, man, wow, oh my God. So not generous of him. It was so unlike him,
Very.
too, but welcomed,
Yeah.
definitely. I remember that.
We're gonna finish off the show with you thinking about what is your recreational activity and your relaxing activities that you do. And thank you so very much, John, for being
Of
part of the
course.
show.
Thank you.
You're welcome anytime
Oh,
to
gosh,
come
thank you
back.
so
And thank
much.
you, the listener, as
You're
well.
terribly kind. Thank you.
You, the listener, if you're listening for the first time, hopefully you enjoyed the content and you'll share the library talk and everything else show with others. If you're a longtime listener, thank you so much for allowing us to be part of your Thursday morning. We're going to finish off with a little bit of Selena going into the weekend. Have a wonderful and restful and relaxing weekend, everybody. And we'll see you all next time on Library Talk and everything else only on Vaquero Radio, the Valley's student station.